go to sleep, you know I gotta keep my eyes open. But I've been smoking, that's the reason why my eyes closed. I'm from a city where the sleepers never make it. Risk your life and they gon' take it. Have you stuck up in that time zone? Like I can't help but always think about that time gone. Too many people I done lost, I'm trying to find home. I'm from a city where the sleepers never make it. Risk your life and they gon' take it. Have you stuck up in that time zone? Can't go to sleep, you know I gotta keep my eyes open. But I've been smoking, that's the reason why my eyes closed. I'm from a city where them niggas leave you wide open. So if you move around, you know to keep that 9 close. Too many times I seen them change, thought I would die for them. The loyalty that had me walking with a blindfold. Can't let these people be the reason I don't make it. Give them time and they gon' waste it. Don't appreciate that time gone. Like I'm just trying to make it.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome everybody to the Lace Up Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Lawler. I got my co-host there.
What's up, guys? Devin Donovan.
And we have the one and only, my homie from Charlestown, Massachusetts, Mr. Steve Sweeney here with us today. Steve, thank you for coming.
How come you say guys? Don't any women watch this?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. Devin's the analytics guy. So.
Yeah, we got to get more women actually on the show. That's a goal of ours. You know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
We had Shannon Lundeen on. She was great.
You know Shannon, yeah?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Tough cookie.
We're all in. One of the things recovery's given me is when I was growing up. I don't know about you, Joe. I grew up in Charlestown. Everybody was Irish. I thought the whole world was Irish.
Yeah.
And I never knew like Italians could have problems with Jewish people could have problems with drugs and alcohol. I knew the Italians had the gambling.
Yes. They had that one locked up.
But that's one of the things that recovery's given me is like, you meet people, you get past your racism and all this other stuff, and I even thought people from Southie and Dorchester were different than Charlestown. It's all kind of the same guys moving around different neighborhoods.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I got to tell you about your set here. This is like way too comfortable for me. This reminds me of like doing coke and marijuana, and there's always these chairs. I'd be there for hours. And the guy would be talking to me, he's talking, pouring his heart out, and all I'm thinking is, while he's talking, is that my line or his?
Which one's bigger?
That was my drugs of choice were alcohol and cocaine, and I grew up in Charlestown. You guys know drinking age in Charlestown's 12, right? But it was kind of like part of being a human being was to drink, and I even in the beginning, like a lot of people, what I found is a lot of people drank because they were real inhibited, and it made them come out of themselves. And I had that before I was drinking. I was always like an outgoing person, and coke took that away from me. When I first did cocaine, the first time I did it, I was in Arlington. I was at this band's house. I guess they were famous. They probably were. I don't know. But they put out cocaine, and I didn't even know what it was. I said, "What's that?" And he said, "Oh, it's coke." And then this other guy was just standing there. So, you know how you have moments in your life you never forget? And this guy, he said, "Think about it before you do it." And I'll never forget what this guy said, this other guy. He said, "It's only cocaine. It's not addictive." That's what people thought. Yeah. Then of course, when I went to rehab, I found out cocaine's the most addictive mentally, not physically.
Right.
But I was, it's funny when you don't get the right information. Like I did morning radio on ZLX for 5 years, and I had a kid who was doing ecstasy, and I did it once, and my nervous system was so shot that I didn't even by the time I was done with my trip with cocaine, I couldn't get off. I didn't even get high anymore. But anyway, my nervous system was so shot. So he said, "I'm doing ecstasy," I said, he says, "Oh, it's great. I just take water to the club and dance, and you can feel the energy. Women love it and all this shit. So I said, so there's no downside to this. He said, no downside, none.
Yeah, right.
So I looked at him. I said, when was the last time you slept? Like 2 days earlier, you know.
Yeah.
And he got arrested for running through the Benz naked when the Patriots won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know? It's funny, isn't it? Like one of the things out there now is that marijuana is not, it's no problem and everything, you know. But there's, I used to have a program for kids. Now I work in jails besides my showbiz stuff. But anyway, the kid would raise his hands and he'd always say, well, marijuana is a gray area. This black and white marijuana is gray and all that. And it was always the kid who was raising his hand that was selling it,
Yeah.
you know?
Absolutely.
And like, when you get sober and you get clean, like the first year, you know how it is with the first year, you want to do everything. So I ran the marathon, I went back to school,
early.
you know, I did it all. But you start to literally come back to life. Like I remember I was sober 6 months and my sponsor was from Charlestown, Jake, and I called him up. It was the middle of winter. I said, wow, you know, icicles, and Jesus, it's beautiful out. He said, it's been there, you know, for 40 fucking years, you know, and you've just been holed up in rooms like this talking about shit over and over, you know.
Yeah. Madness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Insanity.
absolutely.
It's insane, but it's also, you know, a lot of people have a problem with the third step, praying, right? I was coming down from coke every night, and I always thought I was having a heart attack, and I prayed every night that I wouldn't die, you know. So I look at the third step as like I gave my care of my life over to the power of alcohol and cocaine. So why not give it as something positive? You know?
Absolutely.
So how are you guys doing?
We're good. We're good.
Yeah.
Life's good.
What was your drug of choice?
Cocaine.
Yeah.
I mean, mostly everything. You know, I liked everything, but
He doesn't discriminate.
I don't discriminate. No, I was a big cocaine guy. Same thing.
Well,
I was,
see, that's unusual because I always say this. If I was growing up in Charlestown now, I'd be doing whatever. I did what everybody else was doing, so I'd be doing heroin.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was my thing for a while, was heroin, and then at some point, just the fentanyl came around, and I had dabbled, and it just, everyone was dying, you know. And it's
Oh my
actually
God.
funny because I remember,
How old are you?
I'm 27.
He's an old soul.
I remember
but-
being outside the Charlestown meeting and you asking me about, you know, like, what the fuck is that shit like? You know, because it's crazy. You know, I mean, 33 years ago when you got sober, I don't know.
It's
It's just
funny
wild.
you say that because I've had these conversations outside of meetings and with Steve and stuff, and that's he is like genuinely not only he's curious about it, but it's also the way I've left there feeling like, you know, he wants to know, like, because I left there being like with the impression of more or less like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, because I need things in layman terms, you know. So when he would ask me, like, at first I'm like, why is it what's he mean? Is he joking? But he was serious.
Yeah.
That's what I love about him. He's known as a funny guy, a jokester, right?
Yeah.
But the one thing that he don't joke about and he's serious about, but he has a lot of fun in his sobriety and recovery.
Absolutely.
Now, I do have a curious mind. I accidentally did heroin once. I'm with these Vietnam vets, that's my era. And we were doing coke, but then he put out some other stuff. And you know how there's this language of drugs, you know?
Yeah.
He said, well, you're going downtown. I said, I didn't know what it was, but it was heroin, and I threw up. I hated it. So how's your journey been, Joe?
It's been good, buddy. I mean, we're showing up for life every day.
Have you told your story on this podcast?
I've on a couple platforms I have, you know, we were talking the other day about, seems like this is all new to us, you know, but it's something that's been positive, and we try to keep it like light and fun, and see, whatever happens, we don't have any expectations. We're basically trying to get a message out there about recovery and that you don't have to suffer, certainly not alone. And to let people know that, it's more or less about adversity and overcoming adversity. But as far as my own thing, it seems like
What was your drug of choice?
was PCP, was angel dust.
Wow.
And I like what you just said earlier about it took me a little while because I had to learn things like about the ego and stuff like that. But when I stuck around long enough in AA and in sobriety, and then I had to learn about recovery. But when I stuck around long enough, I learned about things like, smashing my ego and then being able to say to myself, like, living my truth and say, if I grew up in this day and age, like, I'm not better. If anything, I would think I was less than, right? I wouldn't let you know that, but that's what I would feel on the inside. Yeah. And the truth is, and it's actually a relief to feel this way and to be able to say it out loud. If I grew up in this era, I would be doing exactly what these kids are doing.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Because in the past, I wouldn't allow that to come out of my mouth. I would think.
Yeah.
I would never. But
in Charlestown, we were a great neighborhood, and to this day. That's why I refused to see this movie at the time. And I got my own reasons, but everybody knew everybody, and there were parents, and there were good families, and the only people that were doing heroin were like wise guys. And I remember this friend of mine. He was, and it's so like. It's unusual to say in the big societies. So this friend of mine was a bank robber, right?
A bank robber from Charlestown? You should be.
But people in Wellesley will say, "Oh, he's in finances," Or
Yeah.
We kind of say it normally, which is weird.
You're right.
It's weird. Anyway, so I was driving. Sometimes I'd end up in these cars. I don't even know how I ended up in them, but you just ride around, right? So he was a heroin addict, and we were over like Malden. I said, I want to get something to eat. Let's stop at McDonald's. And he says, it's so funny. He says, can't believe you're putting that shit in your body. I said, let me get this straight. You're shooting heroin, and you're talking to me about nutrition?
Yeah.
Fuck.
That's how it is, though. It's funny.
And it's like I told you, I work in jails, and so I had a group of guys, and black guys, Muslim. I said, so what is it with your religion? So you pray 5 times a day? Is that it? How do you know like the times? And he said, it's dark humor, but it's not even supposed to be funny. He says, well, I pray at 7, I pray at 12. But if I'm pulling a heist in the afternoon, I have to put off the prayer to the night.
Yeah.
It's like he doesn't even see the contradiction.
Yeah, he's blind to it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I know that you had mentioned about the movies. I know.
Well, let me tell you a story about recovery.
Sure.
I'm doing a movie in New York, and you can see it in you can get it on Amazon or any of them. It's called The Money Kings, Peter Falk, right? Peter Falk, Peter Falk.
Yeah.
They should have sent him to the Louvre. Well, let me get this straight. Anyway, so I'm doing this movie, and it's really long days. I just did one, and you forget. So, you're on the set at like 6 or 7. You don't get out till 9 at night, so I'm doing it every day and not going to meetings, right? And this thing overcame me, and it was like a voice in my head, and to this day I don't know where these voices come from, but something said to me, and these were people, they were helping me. I'm doing a movie, and my name's in the front of the picture, director and everything. There was some voice that said to me, tell them all to go fuck themselves. You know what it was? It was the voice of self-destruction. And maybe part of it was, you don't deserve this, but whatever it was. And then I got on the phone to a friend of mine, and he said, who's in the program, he said, don't question me, just, will you do exactly what I tell you to do? And I said, yes. He said, all right, I just looked it up. there's a meeting. It's 3 blocks from your hotel. Leave your apartment and go down there and go to that meeting right now. Isn't that amazing? I mean, I was starting to see white light. It's like when I don't go to meetings, and it's still very mysterious to me. Like, you know, it's like a Monday and I'm going to meetings. Someone will say, "How you doing?" Great, right? And then if I don't go to meetings all week, you know, some Friday, someone says, "How you doing?" The fuck you mean by that?
Yeah.
Just like that.
The irritability.
Yes.
Isn't that weird?
It is.
It's nice to be able to acknowledge that, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, but sometimes it's too late.
You're absolutely
Absolutely.
right. Yes.
You know, like it says in the 11th step, pause when agitated or doubtful, right? It's great advice. Like, I don't always do it, but if I look back on a situation where I got triggered and I acted out, what happened? I didn't pause.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, the impulse.
Do you ever get like embarrassed? Like
All the time.
a month like I'm so embarrassed about something I did a month ago, and it was like one of these like offering someone out and shit, and it's like a fucking I was in the anger, in the rage, you know. I was so embarrassed, you know. Do you ever get that feeling?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You find yourself in situations where you like, what the fuck was that, you know?
Well, see, the thing, sometimes I struggle with, you know, I hear at meetings and stuff, and when I first got sober, like, it can be a positive and a negative based on my perception of what I'm doing, but it was like, I just didn't want to wake up and want to roll over and, you know, die, basically, you know. I didn't want to, so I just, and that was my biggest thing, you know, like, I didn't want to feel that pit in my stomach with my eyes open. I was like, I gotta do this again, you know, just that dread, that impending doom. So
that's the way you felt about a new day, imagine.
Yeah, it's awful, right? So, and now, you know, then there's people, it's, what I've realized is no matter what's going on, it never had anything to do with anyone else. Like, it's my perception. So if I'm feeling like other people are walking on water or something like that, or being self-righteous, I need to check myself. I was taught that because it has nothing to do with them. Because the same people that are walking on water that I can be resentful towards, let's say, for example, hypothetically, are the same people that I may love, or that may be my friends or something like that, you know? And I have to put it back on myself. I have to look in the mirror.
Now, let me ask you something. Have you been open about doing time on this?
Yes, but it's also, Steve, like I said to Devin, we're not here to, like, we're speaking our truth, and that, I think, you know, says a lot. But as far as like the social media and all this shit out there, people don't care if something's true or false, fake or real. They just want to be entertained, and we're not here to do that. We're here to speak our truth, and sometimes it's not.
Absolutely. Well said.
Here's what my question is. You know, have you ever been locked up?
Yeah, county, not
All right.
not like a serious
Yeah,
family
well,
job.
prison and jails are two different things.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of the guys in jails haven't been sentenced; that they do a short time. But what I wonder is when you're doing time, right? You're all together and you're living together. I mean, you must like develop resentments, and there's nowhere to go, and
Yeah, it's trapped.
Absolutely.
But you can be trapped out here without going to drugs.
but it's hard. It's hard living. I tell this to my guys all the time. It's hard living with people anyway.
Of course.
But when you're locked up, it's got to really.
And you have no choice, you know.
And you're with a bunch of
What's-
so-called alpha males, you know.
Yeah. And what's that real quick, Steve? What's that experience been like working with guys in the system?
I'm gonna take this away from you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know what you gotta do? You gotta go like that to 'em.
Bad.
Sometimes you do it on the nose like a
I
dog.
know. Joe's ADD wears off on me.
Yeah.
You got that ADD too?
No, he just got a little tick. He goes, yes, you know.
You know, somebody should do a group for people that have to deal with people from ADD. I had a guy fucking outside the meeting when we were down at the bleachers, and he says, "Hey, how you doing? Yeah, did you do this?" So I said, "All right, you just asked me 7 questions. You want me to answer the first one or what?"
Yeah.
So my experience has been, It's a job. You know, I studied counseling, and you get better at it. So lately, it's been really good. I'm working in a recovery unit down Plymouth. Sometimes you go into some units. Wow, the anger unit, that was tough. It's heavy lifting emotionally, being around that.
Of course.
And what I've learned is this energies. I can walk into a unit and I can feel an energy.
Of course.
There's one I call the casino because all the guys, all they do is they play cards. But I had a program for kids, like I said, and I was doing a youth center over in Franklin Park, and I could feel it. You know, I could feel the danger. And I talked to someone and they said, yeah, they'd been to Northern Ireland and they could feel it. So my job is to be uplifting. I used to think, therapy, and you get into deep stuff with these guys, which sometimes happens, but you're never going to really get to things in groups. Like right now, I'm doing a journaling group. Like guys write, we talk, we learn how to breathe, and the first thing you learn is that you're not that much different. I mean, I tell them I drove under, I was in trouble as a kid, and either the grace of God or luck or whatever is that they're there and I'm here. Then the other thing that happened was I have not met one guy locked up that I did not have a better childhood than. So a lot of this stuff, it goes back to childhood. And, if you grow up in the Columbia Point projects, man, and your father's in prison and there's this, you don't have a great shot. So you get gratitude too.
Yeah, that's Shannon Lundine's take on it, which I'm in agreement with. She believes that she's talking about marijuana being the gateway. Shannon Lundine,
Oh,
you
yeah.
mentioned earlier. Her theory is that childhood trauma is the gateway to
Yeah.
is a huge gateway to it.
Absolutely. Well, your environment plays a big part in, the people you're around and the choices you make.
But I love that he just said about he more or less referenced his childhood, right?
Yeah.
As chaotic and wild as Charlestown was, right? Abnormal, what's normal, but I think most people would be in agreement. We wouldn't change it for the world because we came from good families with
You
morals,
still
values,
had a
and
strong
principles.
family, a unit.
Of course, absolutely.
When you're that young, you don't have any context. It's just whatever's there, whatever everybody's doing. And when you grow up in certain neighborhoods, I had a choice. I was sort of in awe of the guys that would rob them. To me, that was like, I didn't have nerve. I mean, I got caught shoplifting. I was terrible. You know what the worst thing was? The worst thing was I always thought about my mother, the times I was arrested. So my uncle would have to come down and get me out because I didn't want to hurt her.
Yeah. Yeah, I say that all the time. I alcohol and drugs took away when it came to my intentions. I felt like were always pure, and I hung my hat on that for a long time. And what I realized was that it was irrelevant whether my intentions were. I had good intentions, right? Because that didn't matter. I still ruined shit. I still self-sabotage, and I still hurt people, unintentionally. But I mean, it's still, that was pretty profound to learn.
No, absolutely.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Lowell.
Lowell. Wow.
Yep. And then what's funny, Steve, is I came out this way. I went to the Cushing house when I was 18 years old. My dad had just died from an overdose, and I went to the Cushing house.
Sorry.
No, and when I went there, the seed of AA was planted, and I felt a part of something, and I felt like, why are all these people so fucking happy? And you know what I mean? I had
Doesn't that piss you off?
It did. At the time, it did, because I wasn't drinking the Kool-Aid,
What the fuck are they laughing
at? And then I got a funny story. Fast forward about probably 5 years later, I met you guys down the bleachers in Charlestown. That's where I met Joe. And then I put together a year and whatever. I didn't stick with it. I went back out there, but I went down on a vacation in Florida. I'll never forget this. And we're watching something about Mary.
Mm.
And Ben Stiller gets his fucking zipper caught. And I look and I'm like, the firefighter is fucking Steve Sweeney.
I was the cop.
Yeah.
Oh, the cop,
right.
excuse me. And I was, you're like,
You know
you're
what?
in the window. You're like,
You know what's
No, dude, you gotta tell me what you said about your aunt.
so my aunt, I was watching it with my aunt, and she was like,
yeah.
she's like, oh, I used to wait tables on that fucking guy at Amorites.
Yeah.
Captain Fishbones.
Yeah, wow. You know what's really funny? It's really funny. At the bleachers, we went to for those who don't know, we went to the bleachers during COVID. This guy says, so you know how guys are, fucking Charlestown, Somerville, right? He says, this guy says you were in this movie. It was a different movie. I think it might have been The Equalizer or something. You weren't in that. I said, yeah, I was in it. He said, no, you weren't. I said, all right, you're right. I wasn't.
Yeah. What do you want from me? Yeah. Fucking silly shit.
Oh my God.
Jesus. But thank God it's like, wow. We're sitting here and we're alive, and we all have potential, like whatever you want to do with your life, you have potential.
Yeah.
And now you can develop it. And now I kind of feel I have the obligation to develop it and then share it.
Absolutely.
Like when you were talking about, not wanting to live or whatever, and I feel like we have an obligation to the people that love us to put one foot in front of the other. And
Absolutely. I agree with you.
Yeah.
That was I call it purgatory on earth, where, let's say, I felt like I certainly didn't want to be, I didn't want to, let's say I wanted to die, per se, right? I didn't want to exist anymore, but it wasn't going to happen because I love my family too much. So, and that, to me, that's how sick I was, where I thought that almost like subconsciously I felt entitled, or like I felt like that should count for something, and I should, like, that self-loathing and that victimization. And, I call it purgatory on earth. Wanted to die, but not being able to because whether it be my ego or my love for my family, and I could never get out of that because what I learned in AA and at 40 years old was that, buddy, if you don't care about yourself, right, you'll never be what you need to be and want to be to the people around you. And I was like, whoa, like a light went off. I'm like, are you shitting me?
But let me ask you this. I hear that, you can't love someone else till you love yourself. I don't know if I buy that.
I agree with you.
Like,
I agree.
there's a lot of suffering out there.
Absolutely.
Just last week I went to the pantry in Charlestown, the food pantry. I said, I'm watching the news and everything, and the guy there, he's so dedicated, Tom.
Yes.
You know that guy?
Yes.
I said, so tell me, what's actually going on in the ground here? And he said, people are terrified, about not, because they thought they were losing their SNAP and all that stuff. And he said, it's elderly people, disabled people. And I said, what I got from that is I felt empathy for the people who, with the food thing, but it was so inspiring to see this guy do that job.
Yeah.
Help people with food.
Oh, of course.
And I
And do it with a smile on his face.
yeah, and I kind of felt like, wow, this is with a smile on his face. And I think maybe that's one of the keys to being happy is to like do it as service. I mean, there's like I just did a movie, and then last night I drove to New Jersey and back, and then last night I had to go do a stand-up gig, and there I am driving a Vinny's shithole in fucking Chelmsford or something, you know what I mean? But if I look at it as service, right, giving people an hour away from the news, so then I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Steve, do you mind if we bring up where's the card that I just had for Steve?
Like you just put
really?
it down here.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Do you mind if I mention this?
Oh no, that's great. That's a movie that we premiered at the
I'll put it on the
Yeah. Yeah.
we premiered at Dedham, and it's also going to be at a place called The Cut in Gloucester, Mass. And it's about growing up in Charlestown, and just a lot of really funny stories, and I love it. Because it's not me. You mentioned the ego. I don't really have an ego because I'm just telling exactly what happened. Like one of the parts that's really funny to me is I got a big picture of the Bunker Hill Monument, and I said, Charlestown, there was 3 great battles: the Battle of Breeds Hill, the Battle of Bunker Hill, and the battle to get Anne-Marie Accarelli's bra off right here. This is where I first had sex. And then I point to the monument. I say, as you can see, there's a monument to that event. I know what you're saying. That's not for that. I said, but look at the shape. You know, it's funny.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm
So
excited for it.
me and B-Ray would be at the.
You know Brendan Ryan. You were friends with his dad.
Oh, I love Brendan.
He loves you.
So me and Brendan would be in the meeting, and you know, sometimes it would be a little dry or get quiet, and then Steve's hand would go up, and we'd look at each other. Fuck yeah!
Yeah.
Brendan is. I don't want to break his anonymity or anything,
Yeah.
but he's a guy who never loses sunglasses.
Yeah.
Isn't that fucking weird?
Yeah,
I'm
it
always
is.
sitting on sunglasses, breaking them. I say, why do I spend so much?
Yeah.
But what a cool guy.
Yeah.
He's the best.
He's a nice guy. He's very unassuming, and his father was just the greatest, Teddy. And it's great to see families in Charlestown getting better. And
Of course.
Lowell's a great town.
Yeah.
It used to be the butt of my jokes, and then I said, you know, Lowell, right? And then got to know Mickey Ward and
Yeah.
the rep up there. And it's a great town. There's only 2 towns in Massachusetts. Boxing's my favorite sport.
Okay.
There's only 2 real boxing towns, Brockton and Lowell. You know, I go up there for the Golden Gloves and all
We
that.
had Peter McNeely on just recently.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
Peter.
Yeah.
Is he doing okay?
He's hanging in there. He's a fighter, that's for
Yeah,
sure. You know.
Yeah.
He still had personality, a big personality. He had his
Yeah.
wits, and
Yeah.
the one thing I left there with that I took out of it, he mentioned a lot of AA, and then we're gonna wrap up here. Is his gratefulness. I feel like it's keeping him alive.
You know what? His dad was great, Tom.
He talked about his dad.
Yeah.
Tom
A
fought
lot.
for the world championship against Floyd Patterson. So I have to go, but you guys are doing God's work.
Yeah.
So keep it up.
Yes, yeah. I'm glad you could come by. We love you.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have to catch
Thank
up.
God I can come by and be straight. I'd be sitting on couches like this for 12 hours just talking and and the sun coming up. Oh
Thank
my
you,
God.
my
Good
friend.
to see you.
I appreciate it.
All right,
Great,
brother.
Steve.
Keep
All right,
up the
guys.
good work.
We'll see you next time.
Absolutely.
Lace up or lay down. Peace.
Lace up or lay down. Peace. You know,
Lace up or lay down. I love it.
Yeah.
Lace up is, it could be like a prison term. It could be just like a life term, like lace up for life, show
Yeah,
up
lace
for
up
life.
for life.
See you, man.
Great to see
Keep
you
up
as
the
well.
good work. How was that? Was that all right?
That was
Excellent,
awesome.
buddy.
Was
the
it
best.
good?
Yes.
It was really good.
Very
yeah.
good.
You got a nice, comfortable show.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
You're
the
getting,
that's
you're
the
getting
roots
the
of it.
word out, you know.
Absolutely.
You know, there's
This is a
still,
meeting for me, really. You know. This
You know,
is
therapeutic, you know.
there's
just
so
sitting down
many
and
people.
talking.
Let me see that other thing.
Sometimes we forget, but there's so many people out there that are still suffering.
Real quick, I gotta ask you,
Yes.
what was it like meeting Denzel? Because I'm a big fan of him.
It was very intense. He's working, so you don't want to
Yeah,
bother
yeah,
someone
yeah,
when
yeah.
they're working. But I did have a conversation with him, and we had a pretty good conversation. He did a movie where he played a pilot. Remember, he was drinking. Did
Yeah.
you see that one? I said, thanks. I've been sober wherever I was there. And he said, yeah, Goodman's got a certain amount of years. John Goodman.
Yeah.
A lot of people are in recovery that they don't know about. But to be honest with you, like I'm sitting there talking to him, right? Like you and I having a conversation. In the back of my mind, I'm going, I'm fucking talking to Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Because he's so famous.
Cool.
Yeah,
He's a great actor. Yeah.
Oh, he's great.
He's the
He's
best.
great. But it's the kind of thing where whatever sports you guys play, with my acting, I gotta bring my game up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta bring your fucking game up. Know your lines, be on time. There's a guy in this movie. He was a stand-in for the kid playing Rocky, right? Sylvester Stallone. And he had just played. He was just a stand-in from Timothy Olyphant, who did the Dylan movie. You know, well, I don't know what the name of it was, but it's amazing how self-destructive people are. I said, "How'd you get that?" He said, "The other guy got fired." I said, "How the fuck do you get fired from being a stand-in? There's
Yeah.
nothing to do, right?" He was late.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, isn't that funny?
Yeah. Yeah.
Time
Imagine
management.
getting a job like that and not fucking showing up
I
on
know.
time.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I love it.
I love
All right,
it.
guys.
Number on them time that I was sleeping in that basement. Number on them time the blood was dripping on that pavement. Ambulance ain't pulling up, then people couldn't save them. Make me sick, wake me up, cause I can't be stiff. Bring me to life because it can't be this. Bring me to light because it can't be this. Niggas acting like it can't be fixed. Can't go to sleep, you know I gotta keep my eyes open. But I've been smoking, that's the reason why my eyes closed. I'm from a city where the sleepers never make it. Risk your life and they gon' take it. Have you stuck up in that time zone? Like I can't help but always think about that time gone. Too many people I done lost, I'm trying to find home. I'm from a city where the sleepers never make it. Risk your life and they gon' take it. Have you stuck up in that time zone?